going to take us downstairs, the members of the media, I think, to have a look at some of the still shots from the night, from Wednesday night. But if you have any questions for me in advance of that, or for Clint, we're happy to answer them.
What about St. Paul's, Christy? St. Paul's. St. Paul's.
The court system. Yeah, well, there are two parts to this, of course. Part is the Solicitor General part, and making sure that from a provincial perspective we're providing all those resources that I talked about. And that's the first half of it. And that's, you know, like it says on the sign over there, and I didn't write this, we will get you. We will find these people and we will prosecute them. Then once charges go toward Crown, it's really important that these cases don't get lost in the system. And, you know, I compare this it's a crime that has affected all of us, and all the people that are here today feel like we were all affected in some way, even if we weren't here when it happened. And it's like when your house gets broken into. It's not what they took. It's not the physical things that they broke when they were there. It's that they were going through your home without permission. And that's what we all feel like as a result of these vandals and looters on Wednesday night. So we are going to make sure that we're finding ways, I'm working with the Attorney General now, to find ways to make sure we are focused on these cases as they move through the system. We want them to move through to a quick and expeditious conclusion. And we don't want them to get lost over a period of years in the system like often court cases do.
Are you worried that they might
you know, well, as I've said, those days of the slap on the wrist for these kinds of people are over. Because one of the things we heard from police, and we hear from them often, is they know who these people are because they see them commit these kinds of crimes again and again and again. I want to see an end to that revolving door of justice. I want the people that were responsible for this and who were responsible for perhaps causing trouble during the Olympics and for causing trouble at similar events here and across the country. I want them to see the inside of a jail cell because we want them off the streets of the city, and we need to send a message to people that Vancouver isn't a place where you can get away with this kind of thing.
In terms of resources, it's good that there's some now, but what about before the fact and prevention? What's the problem now? By even Vancouver as a city, police provide more funds and
we were asked to provide resources. We provided all of the resources that were asked for. So there were hundreds of RCMP officers from around the region that were on the streets of Vancouver on Wednesday night. When the VPD asked for those resources, they were prepared and ready to come, and when they asked them to come, they came. There was no discussion about budget. There was no discussion about, gee, is there enough money? There was a need. They came.
I want to get into the store.
There will be a review of this, and it will be a review that is independent of government. I am not today going to offer up all kinds of criticism of policing, because I think, you know, you look at what happened, and we're 36 hours after the event, and I see around me today a lot of support for the work that the police did, and you talk to the folks that were inside London Drugs. Police and ambulance and emergency responders did an incredible job under incredibly difficult circumstances with thousands and thousands of spectators around who were innocent, but perhaps some of whom got drawn into it. So yes, I believe that there does need to be a review, and the reason that there needs to be a review is this. Criminality evolves and policing needs to adapt. So we need to understand what happened and what we can do to adapt in the future. Because you know what? We aren't going to stop having outside events in Vancouver. We are not going to give up our streets to the criminals. Will this review include a look back at why the recommendations of the 94 standing up riot were not put in place for this particular event? Well, I think police would tell you, and I'll leave it to them to speak about that specifically, that there were a lot of lessons that from 1994 that were integrated into the approach that we saw on Wednesday night. But, you know, I believe that there are certainly lessons to be learned from this. It's 17 years later. Criminality has changed, the city has changed, and the nature of the events changed. So we are going to review it. It will be independent of government. The exact nature and method of the review, though, we're still working on it, Jeff. I mean, we're 36 hours after the specific event, but I don't know. I don't know. My hope would be that it would be something that we could do quickly, and hopefully that, you know, because we want to get to the bottom of it as soon as we can. You know, the thing is that it's, I think police and police resources and all the emergency responders need the information about what happened, because, you know, they more than anyone want to make sure that they're doing their absolute utmost to protect our city. And as I said, we're going to continue to have outdoor events in the city. We're going to continue to welcome families into downtown Vancouver, and we want them to be people to feel safe and know they are safe. So it's important we get to the bottom of it quickly, and it's important to be independent of government and policing. In terms of the court system, well, cases can sometimes take, as you know, I mean, I think we all get incredibly frustrated when we look at the years and years sometimes it takes for cases to get through the system. I find it incredibly frustrating. I think the public, all of us as citizens, find it incredibly frustrating. I don't want to see these cases get dragged through court for years and years and years. So I can't give you a specific time in months, but I certainly want it to be shorter than what we typically court cases take in our system. So we want to shorten it up. We're looking at ways that we can do that. We're working with the Attorney General's office to do that. And in terms of the review, in terms of paying for it, it will be paid for by the province.
How are you going to do that now? How are you going to do that
protection of our staff, of our General Manager of Loss Prevention, Tony Hunt, who's going to walk you through, give you some sample images, part of the thousands and thousands of images we have of these criminals. Thank you so much.
They'll be useful.
Yes, absolutely.
There you go. So what we're doing, Premier Clark, is right now it's very early in our investigations. We've grabbed from, we have approximately 40 video cameras in this facility here. And as you can imagine, over the period of quite a long time, we've had to download and store a very, very large volume of images of the individuals who were involved here. So what we need to do is we need to go through each and every individual image now, and we're going to serialize them. So we've got a serial number attached to each individual who's involved in the situation or is a good witness to the situation. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work with the police and hopefully with the public, and we're going to get them to help us identify some of these individuals. It's important to process it properly, because what we need to do is we need to make sure when a tip comes in, it's not, I saw the guy with the Canucks jersey or the green coat on inside your store. We need to identify which exact individual it is. And the nice thing is with the system, the way we have it set up, even people who had their faces covered at different points during the time in the store, there were other points where we could get different angles and shots. So
thank you.
I think identification is going to actually be, you know, we're going to have a high degree of success, I believe.
And you know, the thing about this is, we know when we find out who they are,
At line 111,
we want their bosses to know,
111,
and their families to know, and their neighbors to know. You know, I mean, I think the people that get up to this kind of activity, can't live in anonymity. Everybody needs to know who they are. And that's the value of what the work that you're doing in this, you know. I mean, I hope that all the media that are here today, you broadcast these pictures. Who is his boss? Who is his neighbor? Who is his, where are his mom and dad?
Anybody get any?
Absolutely, and you know, one of the important things is every single person who came into this store that day, whether or not they took anything or not, are for sure a very good witness, but certainly is somebody who has now at this point a bit of a legal issue that they need to get in touch with the Vancouver police to deal with.
And as Tony mentioned, we're working very tightly with the Vancouver City Police to provide them the video with our serial numbers as is going to best able the investigation to proceed, as you indicated, with the greatest amount of speed and accuracy. And make no mistake about it, that these people have hurt our family here at London Drugs, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure they're brought to justice along with the province.
Thank you for your help with that, because, you know, these people have hurt everybody's family in British Columbia. They've hurt our reputation across the country and internationally, and they've hurt our sense of security and our sense of ourselves as a city. And so bringing them to justice is going to be a big part of our own healing. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Thank you, Tony. You're doing great work.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
That's what I mean.
Oh, that's okay. It didn't hurt too much.
Oh, good, good.
So we'll see. Hi, how are you?
That would represent.
I told Gerda that when I saw him yesterday. But you know, the thing is that they're still sorting through the first part of this. And in terms of the cost, nothing like that you need to my understanding, and you need to speak to Jim Chu about this, but my understanding is that going into the evening, there was an integrated police plan and approach. Jim Chu and the VPD headed it up. It included many provincial police resources in Vancouver and around the region. So they had an integrated command. It included many provincial resources that were there. And my understanding is that whatever they asked for, they received in terms of resources to support this.
What about before the fact, though, like the weeks and months leading up to this? What about those discussions?
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is that I guess the important thing is what happened on the night. All of the resources that they requested from the province were there.
Okay.
So,
Mrs. Premier, in the context where
we're going to make this the very last one.
Okay, in the context where we had some judges that have dismissed some cases because there was no the question of the reasonable time. If you prioritize those 100, 150 thugs, to use your word, isn't there a risk that some other accused will use that and say, well, sorry, we haven't been judged in a reasonable time? Is there a risk?
You mean if resources come from within the system, and yes, they're reallocated? We are not going to reallocate resources from within the system. There are going to be resources that come from across government into the system to make sure we can deal with this. We're not going to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for coming down. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for caring about the city, you guys.
Premier, did you want to do a walk across the street to the
No, somebody wants to shake your hand, Premier.
Mike said hello. So nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
Would it be fruitless? Jess, she can do more than this.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
No, because they were there all night. They saw more people there.
I know.